Hi there, Tim from K-On. We're underneath the Prado 150 and today we're looking at underbody protection for Prado and FJ. Now since we released the underbody protection in the X700 for the Hilux, we've had heaps of requests for the Prado. Now we didn't just want to change the material, we wanted to learn from, this is like the fourth revision of bash plates for Prado 150. We wanted to apply what we learnt from designing Strenix for the Hilux and make it an even better product for the Prado 150. So let's have a look at the changes we've made to the underbody protection and show you how to install these bash plates. Before we take these bash plates off, let's have a look at the standard factory bash plates. Now you can see they're fairly thin. These ones have got the typical damage you would normally see on a Prado. This is really common. This little scoop here, this air scoop and this mesh behind it always gets pushed in. I don't think I've ever seen a Prado that hasn't had that, and it could be either sand or mud. We've got damage on the front here from where the vehicle has initially contacted. The sump is pushed in as well. And the reason why you want protection is you've got your radiator here, you've got your sump here, and then you also got transmission there too. So if you damage any of these things, it'll stop you from progressing any further. So considerations that we looked at for our bash plates, we wanted to make sure we have ventilation, good approach angles, and we're protecting all the vital areas of the vehicle. The main reason why we've gone to the high strength material is so that we can reduce the thickness of the plate to reduce the weight. Now weight's a big thing. The great thing with this set of bash plates is with the front sump and transmission, it's only 10 kilos heavier than the factory bash plates, but you also get the protection on your transmission. So not a lot of extra weight to carry to get really good protection front and sump as well as transmission protection. We've got three sets of bash plates here. Let's have a look at the differences. We got the standard Toyota bash plates. These are actually 1.2 mil. Quite easy to bend actually, I can bend it with my hands. We got the 4 mil standard bash plates. These ones are a little bit dirty, just come off a vehicle. And we got the 3 mil high strength 700 grade Strenix bash plates. Let's weigh these front guards to give you an indication of the difference in sort of weight and build. Factory ones first. We got 9 kilos. We got the 4 mil. You can feel there's a fair bit of extra weight in this one. And they're around 14 kilos for the 4 mil. About 5 kilos extra. And these are the 3 mil high performance Strenix. And we have 10 kilos, so only about an extra kilo over the factory ones. But even being lighter, because of the higher strength steel, these 3 mil are actually stronger than the 4 mil. So what we'll do now is we'll weigh what a front sump and transmission guard weighs together to give you an idea of how much weight, extra weight you're going to add to your vehicle and compare it to the factory bash plates. Strenix first, transmission guard, sump guard, and front guard. And what do we got? We are just under 23 kilos, 22.9 kilos. Next, we'll go the 4 mil guards. Now the transmission guard still looks a bit pristine on that one. Sump guard and front guard. These are going to be a little bit more, so we got 31.5 kilos. And let's get the factory front and sump guards on. Remember, there is no transmission guard here, so they're going to definitely weigh less, but you don't get as much protection with the factory guards. So let's see. So we've got 12.9 kilos. So the Strenix weighs an extra 10 kilos. So 10 kilos over and above the factory plates. Now, bash plates, when we select a material, we want them to be strong. Of course, that's why we are getting protection for our vehicle. We also want them to be resilient. We want them to return back to their original shape. And the other thing too is we need to consider weight. Vehicle setups nowadays, with all the accessories that people put on, every kilogram counts. So those are the major factors that we need to consider. Now, strength can be determined by the type of material, whether it be steel, stainless, or aluminium. It's the grade of material, how much stress a material can withstand, and also the thickness. So thicker materials are obviously going to be stronger than a thinner material. So with materials, you often hear people refer to grades of material. Now the grade is usually refers to the yield strength of a material, which is how much stress a material can withstand before it permanently bends. Now, we don't want things to permanently bend, so a 250 grade material is much more susceptible to bending compared to a 700 grade material, which can take a much larger load and still return back to its original shape. So we have this rig here, and it's designed just to give a consistent impact to all these specimens. About a 3 kilogram weight there, and we'll just take it to the top of the rig, which is about 900 mil, almost a meter, and we're going to drop it on each of these specimens. We're going to loosen off the bolts, and then we're going to measure how much permanent set or how much of a bend is left in those bits of material. So the first one we're going to do is a 3mm stainless steel. So let's get this one bolted in. So as you can see, this is straight. We'll torque them up as well, so that we can maintain some consistency. There you go, ready to go. 3mm stainless steel, dropping in 3, 2, 1. There you go. Got a nice bend there. Let's get this out of the way. You'll notice when I undo this, it'll bounce back a bit, but it's not going to bounce back all the way. We're loose now. So for the 3mm stainless steel, we have 9mm. 9mm in the middle for the 3mm stainless steel. Okay, let's get the next one up. 4mm stainless steel. Same thing, it's straight. Okay, ready to go. So we expect this one to be at least 25% stronger. 4mm stainless steel, dropping in 3, 2, 1. There you go, nice bend in that one. Okay, we'll release this one and see how much of a bend we got. Let's come back a bit. Let's come back more. It's come back more than the 3mm, so let's see how much we've got. So 4mm, 304 stainless, I'm seeing about 7.5mm. Next up we have 250 grade 4mm carbon steel. You can check that it's straight. And here we go, 4mm grade 250 carbon steel, dropping in 3, 2, 1. Okay, got a bend in that one, but looks like it's performed a bit better than the stainless. Let's loosen it off and see how much of a bend we have left in this one. Okay, 4mm grade 250. We have a bit of a bend there. Let's have a look. 4.5mm. So 4.5mm. We're testing aluminium, and now aluminium, because it's inherently softer and not as strong as steel, we have to go thicker. So this is 6mm. Now it's probably still a little bit lighter than 4mm steel because aluminium is about 1/3 of the weight of steel. Make sure it's flat. Yes, it's all straight. 6mm aluminium, dropping in 3, 2, 1. Go. Let's see what we get here. Okay, I'm going to loosen off this aluminium and see how much of a bend is left in it. Now, did you see that? It's because you didn't see anything. It actually didn't bounce back very much. And that's because aluminium is a softer material. The other thing with aluminium as well, because it's inherently a little bit softer, you're going to get a bit more stiction over the rocks. Like, you're not going to slide as easily over obstacles because of that. And let's have a look. I've got 11mm in the middle of this aluminium. So I've loosened it off. So this is the permanent bend we have in the aluminium, 11mm. Let's get the last one on, which is the 700 grade X700 material. Okay. So we have the 3mm 700 grade X700, dropping down in 3, 2, 1. Again, we'll loosen this off to see how much of a permanent bend we have left in this material. See that? See how much it's bounced back? That means this material has been able to absorb a fair bit of energy and return it back. This means if this was a bash plate, it'd be quite easy to get back in position. We have a little bit of a bend, and I've got 2 millimeters in the middle. So the 3mm 700 grade, we have 2 millimeters. So I just thought I'd show you on the table how much bend is left in these materials. So we've got the stainless steel, a 3mm. You can see 9mm permanent set. The 4mm, of course, it's performing a bit better at 7.5. The plain carbon steel grade 250, 4.5mm. The aluminium, 6mm thick aluminium, fared the worst, 11mm. And the X700, it's almost straight, only about a 2mm bend in that. So from worst to best, X700 is probably 4 to 5 times straighter than the aluminium and twice as straight as the 250 grade mild steel, and performed much better than the stainless steel as well. So while they might look the same on the surface, they actually perform very, very differently in real world. Besides the lighter weight 3mm high strength Strenix material that these new bash plates are made from, you'll notice that we've gone to a 3-step powder coat finish. They get sandblasted first, then we put a corrosion resistant zinc primer on, and then finish it off with a dark gunmetal grey powder coat. I reckon they look fantastic. So the first thing we'll install is a sump guard, and before I put it up, I just wanted to show you the back and some of the features we've incorporated into this sump guard. Now we've made a removable hatch for changing your oil, and that allowed us to put some extra bracing in there to make it even stronger. You'll notice that we have these folds out the front and this flange on the top. It helps to distribute the load across the cross member. So this adds a lot of strength as well as having the sides folded up. So even though it looks quite plain on the bottom and flat, a lot of features in there to make it a lot stronger. We have the front guard here. Let's have a look at the back of the front guard, because this is where it's all happening. Plenty of bracing, as well as plenty of ventilation. Now this bracing here is designed to spread the load out into that front cross member that usually takes the brunt of the impacts. And we've got the folds up on the side as well, so super strong. We have a couple slots here, which will make it easier to install. So I'll show you how that works. Removing the factory bash plates. This vehicle here has done a little bit of beach work, so the bolts are a little bit rusted in and hard to get off, but not too bad. Next we need to remove these brackets here. What this does for us is it helps us improve our approach angles, and it gives us much sturdier mounting points. These are M10 versus the little M8 ones that are in there at the moment. So grab your 14mm socket and remove both. Retain the bolts as well, because we'll reuse those. Now we've got all the bash plates off, really good opportunity to actually have a look to make sure everything's in order. Make sure there's no leaks, nothing broken, dirt and dust like that. We need to clean off all these mounting points. And with this bash plate here, I noticed some of the bolt holes were a little bit tight, so I'm probably going to chase those out and clean up those threads. So you can do that with a bolt, or I've got a tap here just to clean them out, but that'll make installing the bash plates a lot easier. So it all looks in good order. I'll just tidy it up a little bit more. Another thing I like to do when installing underbody protection is to put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads. I've seen it all too often, rusty bolts and even seized bolts. That means that they break when you remove them, making the job twice as long. So a little bit of anti-seize up in the threads, and then the first thing to do is actually to get the sump guard on. So I need 4 M8 bolts, so get those ready, and just install the sump plate first. Now the nice thing about these plates is they're a lot lighter, so much easier to install by yourself. We'll just loosely get those in, and we'll position them once we get all the other plates in place. Almost home. Okay, let's move on to the front guard. Grab the bolts you removed, the M10 bolts. We're going to reuse these. Now what we want to do actually is just wind those in these mounting holes a couple of threads. And what that allows us to do, that allows us to slide the bash plates on. Makes it really easy to install. Okay. Just line up those bolts with the slots and slide the plate on. It'll hang there just like that. Grab the other two M10 bolts that we removed earlier. Just push it up there and line up the holes. Looks great. And we'll just get that all positioned, and then we'll line it up with the sump. But as it looks right now, it looks beautiful. You can sort of see this little feature here to help you line everything up. Okay. Just nipped everything up. We'll get the transmission guard on as well before we go around and tighten and torque everything up. So this little feature here allows you to line up the front and the sump, but it also does a couple other things. These little tabs here allow the front plate to transfer a little bit of load to the sump, so there's material in behind it. So there are little tabs there, so when everything is bolted up, nice and rigid. You'll notice this little feature here. This is right underneath that brace that's underneath that will transfer the load to the cross member, so you can jack off this one. Time to install the transmission guard. So we can just hook the transmission guard over the sump guard there and loosely position it with the M8 bolts. Let's get it in there. Okay. Just get a few threads started there. It'll make it easier to line up the M10 bolts in the back here. So we got two M10 bolts going up into the chassis. They get held in there with a couple of nuts. So I'll just get the bolts in first and get the nuts in from the back. So make sure the bolt is in the right position, make sure it's not on that flange, and tighten it up. Make sure it's above that little lip. Okay, and tighten the M10 bolts first. We've got all the plates up there now. So what I'm going to do is just check the position to see if I'm happy with the alignment and the position of all the plates. And that looks pretty good. If not, just sort of adjust them. But I'll start tightening from the back. These M10s in the back here. So I'll just tighten these ones up. And then I'll make my way forward and tighten all the bolts, checking that they're all done up. I'll go back with a spanner and make sure I get that torqued up properly, but for now, making sure they're all tight. The 14mm for these front ones. Okay, so all the bash plates are tightened up. Now we'll have a look at this splash plate. We're reattaching the splash plate on this bull bar. Now this bull bar is an off-road animal bull bar, and we actually need to trim off a little section of the splash to make it fit and made up with our bash plates. Now if you have an ARB bull bar, no trimming. If you've got a factory bumper, the plastic trim should attach back into the mounting points on the bash plates. Reattach the bottom mounts here with some M6 bolts. Okay, a new feature we've incorporated into our bash plates is a cover for the oil access. We've put a lot of thought into the design of this cover. It's only one bolt to hold it in place, everything's recessed, and it's actually designed to be strong enough, be strong and not collapse. So we'll take this off and I'll show you what we have underneath. It's one M8 bolt, and it's actually tabbed into the front there, and it's actually got all these tapers here as well to prevent the hatch from pushing in. Nice and big. That's your sump drain. Should be really easy to get your oil out. Now we'll put that back. That's it, nice and quick. There you have it, high performance 700 grade Strenix underbody protection will fit Prado 150 and FJ. 3mm, lightweight, but also nice and strong. If you need any more information, check out the website.